The Galactic Exploration Fleet, known as the Zenith Accord, had catalogued thousands of planets across the cosmos. Some were paradisiacal, teeming with resources, while others were barren wastelands. However, the category that fascinated and terrified them most was the Death World classification, planets so hostile that survival, let alone civilization, seemed impossible. Few such worlds were inhabited, and even fewer bore intelligent life. Earth was one of those rare, almost mythical exceptions. The discovery was accidental. The Zenith Accord had intercepted faint electromagnetic signals, primitive by their standards, emanating from the Sol system. Initial scans showed an oxygen-rich atmosphere and a thriving biosphere. To their astonishment, the signals contained evidence of a spacefaring species, humans. But as they delved deeper into the planet's characteristics, their fascination turned to dread. The planet's tectonic instability was staggering. Earth's surface was fractured by shifting plates, creating earthquakes, tsunamis, and volcanic eruptions with alarming regularity. Its weather systems were no less violent. Hurricanes, tornadoes, and lightning storms ravaged the land. Even the creatures that roamed the planet were unnervingly lethal, apex predators armed with claws, venom, and razor-sharp instincts. And yet, humanity thrived. A delegation of Zenith researchers was dispatched to study the humans firsthand, landing discreetly outside a human settlement. Their initial encounters left them bewildered. Humans were physically unimpressive compared to the towering, armored species of the galaxy. Their lifespans were short, their technology crude. How, then, had they survived on a planet where everything, from the environment to the wildlife, seemed engineered to kill? One researcher, Draktal, hypothesized that the humans' survival hinged on their adaptability. Observing them from a hidden outpost, the Zenith delegation watched as humans endured bone-chilling winters by crafting shelters and clothing. They marveled as humans harnessed fire and built machines to tame the very forces that threatened them. The humans did not merely endure Earth's dangers, they thrived on them, evolving alongside their environment in a symbiotic dance of survival. But the Zenith Accord's fascination soon turned to alarm. The researchers witnessed humans waging war. Unlike most species, whose conflicts were limited to territorial disputes, humans fought for ideology, revenge, and, sometimes, no discernible reason at all. Their weaponry was devastating, their tactics ruthless. Worse still, they seemed to grow stronger with each conflict, learning from their losses and innovating at an astonishing rate. It was during one of these conflicts that the Zenith delegation was accidentally discovered. A small human child stumbled upon their cloaked observation post and, mistaking their insectoid forms for local fauna, alerted the adults. Instead of reacting with fear, the humans greeted the Zenith delegation with an unsettling mix of curiosity and caution. The researchers, bound by interstellar law, revealed their peaceful intentions and were invited into the human settlement. What followed shocked the Zenith delegation to their cores. The humans, despite their violent tendencies, displayed a level of cooperation and compassion rarely seen in the galaxy. They shared food, protected the weak, and mourned their dead with rituals that demonstrated profound empathy. Their dual nature, capable of both immense destruction and profound kindness, was unlike anything the Zenith had encountered before. As the delegation prepared to report their findings, a sudden disaster struck. A nearby volcano erupted, spewing ash and lava across the region. The humans sprang into action, evacuating the vulnerable and risking their lives to save others. The Zenith delegation, unaccustomed to such chaos, was overwhelmed. To their astonishment, the humans rescued them as well, pulling their fragile forms from the wreckage and tending to their injuries. When the Zenith researchers finally departed Earth, they left with a newfound respect and fear for humanity. Earth was not a death world because of its hostile environment. It was a death world because it had forged a species that could adapt, survive, and thrive in the face of unimaginable adversity. The humans were not prisoners of their planet's brutality. They were its masters. As the Zenith Accord deliberated on whether to establish formal contact with humanity, one thing became clear. humanity was not to be underestimated. They were the ultimate survivors, shaped by a world that should have destroyed them. And in the vast, unforgiving darkness of the cosmos, there were few forces more dangerous than those who had learned to conquer a death world. As the Zenith Accord fleet departed Earth's orbit, a wave of unease spread among the delegation. They had seen too much and understood too little. Questions churned in their minds. How had humanity risen to dominance on a planet designed to destroy? How could a species exhibit such extremes of creativity and destruction? And what would this mean for the galaxy? For weeks, the delegation's findings were dissected and debated in Zenith Council chambers. Some believed humanity's potential for innovation and resilience could make them invaluable allies in the galactic community. Others, more wary, saw humanity as a latent threat, a storm waiting to be unleashed. Their adaptability, coupled with their penchant for conflict, could destabilize the fragile peace among interstellar civilizations. Meanwhile, humanity continued its existence, oblivious to the growing concern among the stars. The humans were focused on their own struggles, from climate challenges to space exploration. They launched probes deeper into the void, driven by an insatiable curiosity and an instinctual need to expand beyond the cradle of Earth. If the Zenith Accord saw Earth as a death world, humanity saw it as a forge, a crucible that had prepared them for the challenges of the cosmos. Months after the delegation's visit, a distress signal rippled across the galaxy. A rogue faction known as the Ravagers, a species infamous for their destructive raids, had targeted a nearby Zenith colony. The Council, hesitant to engage their fleets in open conflict, deliberated their response. It was then that Draktal, the lead researcher from the Earth mission, made a bold suggestion. Send a message to the humans, Draktal proposed. Offer them an alliance. Let us see what they can do. The Council was divided, but desperation outweighed caution. A transmission was sent, detailing the threat and requesting assistance. To their astonishment, the humans replied almost immediately. They accepted the alliance, not out of altruism, but with a simple, chilling rationale. No one attacks our friends. Within weeks, human forces arrived at the Zenith colony. Unlike the gleaming, organic ships of the Zenith Accord, the human fleet was an amalgamation of metals and brute engineering. Their vessels looked like weapons, every surface bristling with armor and armaments. The Zenith observers watched in awe and horror as the humans prepared for battle. When the Ravagers arrived, they were met with a ferocity they had never encountered. Human ships, faster and more maneuverable than anticipated, tore through the Ravager fleet with precision strikes. Their soldiers, clad in adaptive exosuits, fought with a combination of calculated strategy and raw tenacity. It was not just their technology or tactics that won the day, it was their sheer unwillingness to yield, a trait forged by their existence on Earth. The battle was over within hours. The Ravagers, once the scourge of the galaxy, were annihilated. The Zenith observers, accustomed to measured engagements, were stunned by the efficiency and decisiveness of the human forces. Yet, amidst the chaos, the humans displayed another trait that confounded their allies: mercy. Surviving Ravagers, expecting execution, were instead captured and offered the chance for rehabilitation. Why spare them? One Zenith commander asked a human officer. Because we know what it's like to fight for survival, the officer replied. Even predators deserve a second chance. The victory solidified humanity's place in the galaxy. The Zenith Accord, once hesitant, now saw humans not as a threat but as a force of nature, a species shaped by adversity, capable of both destruction and redemption. Yet, the Council remained cautious. They had witnessed humanity's breaking point, the line that could not be crossed. The question lingered: what would happen if humanity ever turned its fury on the stars? For now, the alliance held strong. But among the Zenith Accord, a quiet understanding spread. Earth was not just a death world. It was a warning, a testament to the resilience of life against impossible odds. And humanity, the product of that world, was the embodiment of survival itself. Decades passed, and the alliance between humanity and the Zenith Accord transformed the balance of power across the galaxy. Formerly isolated systems now pulsed with activity as interstellar trade routes expanded. Human engineers and Zenith biotechnicians collaborated on projects once thought impossible: cities suspended in gas giants, terraformed worlds blooming in barren systems, and even early experiments in subspace colonization. Yet, even in prosperity, the shadow of unease lingered. Humanity's rise was meteoric, and their influence spread faster than many in the Accord anticipated. Humans were no longer merely allies. They were integral to every major initiative. Their bold, sometimes reckless, approach to problem-solving often clashed with the Zenith's cautious, deliberative nature, leading to moments of friction. In one such instance, a human-led expedition pushed the boundaries of known space, charting a path through an unstable region of dark matter vortices. Against the council of Zenith scientists, the humans persisted, driven by their relentless need to explore. The mission was a success, opening a corridor to a rich, unclaimed star cluster. Yet the cost was steep. Half the fleet was lost to spatial anomalies, and the rift left behind destabilized nearby systems, triggering months of chaos. For the Zenith Accord, this incident became a rallying point for critics of humanity. They act without foresight, one influential Zenith counselor argued during an emergency session. Their recklessness endangers us all. How long before their ambition turns inward, threatening the Accord itself? But not all voices were so condemning. Draktal, now a senior member of the council, defended humanity once again. Their ambition is not without consequence, he acknowledged. But it is also their greatest strength. They do not fear the unknown, they embrace it. And for every mistake, they learn. They adapt. Without that spirit, the galaxy would stagnate. Still, tensions grew. More conservative factions within the Accord began advocating for stricter regulations on human expansion, even going so far as to propose limiting humanity's access to certain advanced technologies. These efforts sparked outrage among human representatives, who saw such measures as a betrayal of the Alliance's core principles. As political debates raged, a new threat emerged, one that would put the fragile alliance to the ultimate test. Deep within the uncharted void beyond Zenith and human territories, an ancient force began to stir. Known only in myth, the Veilkin were a species that predated recorded galactic history. Their existence had been dismissed as legend, an empire that supposedly wielded technology so advanced it bordered on godlike. But when an Accord survey team disappeared in a remote sector, their final transmission confirmed the impossible. The Veilkin had returned. At first, their presence was subtle. Automated mining colonies vanished without a trace, and fleets sent to investigate were never heard from again. But soon, the Veilkin revealed themselves, descending upon border worlds with weapons that defied comprehension. Planets were rendered lifeless in moments, their atmospheres stripped away as if by an unseen hand. Entire systems fell silent. The Zenith Accord, paralyzed by fear and uncertainty, scrambled to respond. Their fleets, while advanced, were no match for the Veilkin's overwhelming power. The Accord's usual strategies, diplomacy, measured resistance, were useless against a foe that neither communicated nor negotiated. For the first time in centuries, it seemed the galaxy might face extinction. It was humanity that broke the stalemate. While the Accord debated evacuation protocols, the human military initiated an audacious counteroffensive. They analyzed the fragmented data from Veilkin attacks, reverse engineering patterns and weaknesses where others saw only chaos. Human scientists and engineers, working around the clock, developed experimental weapons and shield technologies at a breakneck pace. "What are you doing?" a Zenith counselor demanded of a human commander. "We don't understand them." "How can you hope to fight them?" "We don't have to understand them," the commander replied. "We just have to make them bleed." The first human-led engagement against the Veilkin was a desperate gambit. A fleet of hastily retrofitted human ships, backed by a token force of Zenith volunteers, launched an assault on a Veilkin staging ground. The battle was unlike anything the galaxy had seen. The Veilkin ships, immense and almost organic in appearance, moved as if guided by a single will. Their weapons bypassed conventional defenses, disintegrating hulls and vaporizing entire crews in an instant. But humanity fought with a ferocity that stunned even their Zenith allies. They exploited every weakness, using brute force and ingenuity to punch through the Veilkin's seemingly impenetrable defenses. When their weapons failed, they turned to ramming maneuvers, sacrificing ships to deliver payloads of experimental warheads. In the end, the staging ground was destroyed, and the Veilkin fleet retreated. The cost was staggering. 3/4 of the human fleet was lost, along with nearly all of the Zenith volunteers. Yet, for the first time, the galaxy had proof that the Veilkin could be hurt. And, in that proof, they found hope. The battle marked a turning point in galactic history. Humanity, now indisputably the vanguard of the Alliance, spearheaded a campaign of resistance against the Veilkin. Their willingness to take risks, to adapt in the face of overwhelming odds, became the cornerstone of the galaxy's survival strategy. Zenith scientists, inspired by humanity's relentless drive, developed new technologies to counter the Veilkin threat. Together, the Alliance turned the tide of war. Years later, after the Veilkin had been driven back into the void, the galaxy emerged forever changed. The Zenith Accord, once a loose coalition of cautious civilizations, had become a united force, tempered by the crucible of war. And at the heart of this new era stood humanity, a species born of a death world, forged in struggle, and defined by the choice to fight not just for survival, but for a future worth living for. Yet, even in victory, questions remained. The Veilkin had retreated, but their purpose was still unknown. Had they been scouts? An isolated remnant? Or were they merely the first wave of something far greater? The galaxy would have to remain vigilant. As for humanity, they returned to their homeworld with scars, but also with pride. Earth, the cradle and crucible, had prepared them for the stars. And though the challenges ahead were unknowable, humanity knew one thing for certain. Whatever came next, they would face it together. Humanity's role in the galaxy had solidified, but with their newfound prominence came unforeseen consequences. As Earth rebuilt its fleets and consolidated its position, the galaxy shifted uneasily around them. The Zenith Accord, while grateful for humanity's contributions, struggled to balance its newfound unity with the underlying tensions humanity's rapid rise had created. Some Zenith factions, emboldened by the defeat of the Veilkin, began advocating for a more assertive galactic policy. They proposed expanding Accord influence into unexplored sectors, claiming that humanity's boldness had proven the value of risk. Others warned against such overreach, arguing that the Veilkin's retreat was no guarantee of peace. Among the Zenith leaders, Draktal stood as a mediator, urging caution while acknowledging humanity's pivotal role in their survival. Meanwhile, on Earth, humanity faced its own internal struggles. The war against the Veilkin had galvanized the species like never before, uniting governments, corporations, and ideologies under a singular purpose. But in the aftermath of victory, old divisions resurfaced. Questions of power, responsibility, and morality loomed large. Should humanity continue its expansion into the galaxy, or should it focus on safeguarding Earth and its immediate colonies? Could they trust the Zenith Accord, or had they outgrown their need for an alliance? As these debates raged, a quiet but persistent mystery began to unfold. While analyzing the remnants of Veilkin technology, human and Zenith researchers discovered traces of an ancient signal embedded within their systems. The signal, faint and fragmented, seemed to predate even the Veilkin themselves. Its origin was impossible to pinpoint, but its patterns suggested intelligence, an intelligence older than any known civilization. The discovery sent shockwaves through both humanity and the Accord. Was the signal a warning? A remnant of the Veilkin's creators? Or something else entirely? Efforts to decode it became a top priority, with joint research teams working tirelessly to uncover its secrets. Among them was Dr. Lien Hu, a human linguist and cryptographer who had been instrumental in deciphering Veilkin battle communications during the war. Her insights suggested that the signal was not just a message, but a map, a guide to an unknown region of space. This revelation reignited humanity's restless curiosity. Despite the protests of more cautious Accord factions, a joint expedition was proposed to follow the signal's trail. Humanity, naturally, volunteered to lead the mission, their exploratory instincts overriding any lingering fear. After months of deliberation, the Zenith Council approved the plan, though not without conditions. A diverse fleet, composed of human and Zenith ships, was assembled, representing the strength of their alliance. The expedition, dubbed Pathfinder, launched with great fanfare. As the fleet ventured into uncharted space, the signal grew stronger, its patterns evolving into something almost melodic. The journey took them through regions of space untouched by any known civilization, regions where the laws of physics themselves seemed to waver. Stars pulsed with unnatural rhythms, and nebulae shimmered with colors beyond comprehension. Finally, after weeks of travel, the fleet arrived at the source of the signal, a massive construct orbiting a dying star. The construct, unimaginably ancient and impossibly vast, defied all understanding. It was a labyrinth of interlocking rings and spiraling towers, its surface etched with runes that glowed faintly in the star's dim light. Sensors indicated that the construct was active, though its purpose remained a mystery. Exploration teams were dispatched, composed of both human and Zenith personnel. As they ventured inside, they discovered that the construct was not abandoned. Strange, biomechanical entities moved through its corridors, their forms shifting and flowing as if made of living light. These entities, though clearly intelligent, ignored the explorers, their movements focused and deliberate. At the heart of the construct, the teams found what appeared to be a central chamber. Within it was a vast crystalline structure, pulsing with energy. As they approached, the structure activated, projecting an array of holographic images and sounds. It was not a message, but an invitation, a request for dialogue. For days, the explorers attempted to communicate with the construct. Linguists, engineers, and even artists worked tirelessly to bridge the gap between their understanding and the construct's alien logic. Progress was slow, but eventually, they began to unravel its purpose. The construct was a repository, a library of knowledge left behind by a civilization that had transcended physical existence. The signal had been a beacon, calling out to those who were ready to inherit its wisdom. But the construct's guardians were wary. Through fragmented communication, the explorers learned that the construct had been dormant for eons, reactivated only by the upheaval caused by the Veilkin's defeat. The Guardians viewed the Veilkin as a test, a means of determining which civilizations were worthy of the knowledge within the construct. Humanity's victory had proven their strength, but their capacity for destruction had also raised concerns. The Zenith Accord urged caution, advocating for patience and mutual understanding. Humanity, however, faced a dilemma. The knowledge within the construct could unlock unimaginable possibilities, technological advancements that could secure their place in the galaxy forever. Yet there was a cost. The Guardians hinted at trials yet to come, challenges that would test not just their strength, but their wisdom and unity. As the delegation debated their next steps, the construct's pulsing light grew brighter, its energies rippling across space. The choice was clear: accept the trials and risk everything, or walk away and leave the construct's secrets undisturbed. For humanity, the decision was inevitable. They had risen from a world that sought to destroy them, fought battles against impossible odds, and reached for the stars despite their flaws. Now, faced with the unknown once more, they chose to step forward, driven by the same unyielding force that had defined them from the beginning. The trials awaited, and with them, the chance to prove not just their strength, but their worth. The construct's crystalline heart surged with light as the decision was made. Humanity, backed by their Zenith allies, had chosen to face the trials. The Guardians, their shimmering forms rippling with an unreadable intensity, withdrew deeper into the labyrinth, leaving the delegation alone in the central chamber. As the chamber's walls began to shift and reform, a voice, neither human nor Zenith, but resonant with both familiarity and alien majesty, spoke directly into their minds. It was not a voice of words, but of meaning, pure and unfiltered. You have chosen the path. The first trial begins now. Without warning, the crystalline chamber dissolved into darkness. The delegation found themselves standing on what appeared to be an endless expanse of stars, their bodies weightless yet solid. In the distance, massive shapes coalesced. images drawn from the collective memory of their species. For the humans, towering figures of war machines, natural disasters, and the echoes of battles fought and won. For the Zenith, the forms were gentler but no less haunting, abstract representations of cultural loss, unity fractured, and the creeping entropy of time. The voice spoke again. The first trial is of understanding. Your past defines you, but it must not bind you. To proceed, you must reconcile the chaos within yourselves. Show us how you would rise above the forces that shaped you. The challenge was not physical but psychological, a test of their collective identity. Humanity and the Zenith delegation were forced to confront their deepest fears, their darkest histories, and the choices that had brought them to this moment. Each individual saw visions tailored to their species' struggles. Human delegates relived the horrors of their nuclear wars, the devastation of environmental collapse, and the countless moments when their survival teetered on the brink. Zenith delegates faced the sorrow of civilizations lost to complacency, the pain of stagnation, and the long centuries of isolation that had defined their past. At first, the delegation struggled. The humans, with their fiery resolve, sought to fight the illusions, to conquer them as they had every other challenge. The Zenith, ever reflective, attempted to rationalize the visions, to analyze them into submission. Neither approach succeeded. The illusions grew stronger, the darkness deepening around them. It was Draktal who first saw the answer. "This is not a battle to be fought," he said, his voice echoing across the expanse. "Nor a puzzle to be solved. It is a reflection. We must accept it, not as condemnation, but as truth." His words struck a chord. Slowly, the delegation began to change their approach. The humans stopped trying to fight the visions and instead acknowledged them, facing their fears and failures with unflinching honesty. The Zenith, for their part, allowed themselves to feel the weight of their past, embracing the pain they had long buried. Together, they began to weave a narrative, not of perfect civilizations, but of imperfect ones striving to grow. The illusions began to fade, replaced by a growing light. The voice returned, its tone subtly changed, as if impressed. "You have passed the trial of understanding. Proceed." The second trial began immediately, with no time for rest or reflection. The delegation was transported to a massive, cavernous space filled with intricate machinery. The air thrummed with energy, and at the chamber's center stood a device unlike anything they had seen, a sphere of shifting light, surrounded by a lattice of shimmering conduits. The voice spoke again. "The second trial is of unity. The knowledge within this construct is not for a single species. You must work together to solve the puzzle before you. The device is fragile. Misuse will destroy it. You have limited time." The challenge tested not only their intellect but their ability to collaborate under pressure. The humans, with their pragmatic problem-solving skills, quickly began analyzing the device, identifying patterns and potential connections. The Zenith, with their methodical and patient approach, focused on the broader structure, seeking to understand its purpose and design. Tensions arose as their methods clashed. Humans pushed for action, trial-and-error solutions that risked triggering the device's failsafes. The Zenith argued for restraint, insisting on a deeper understanding before proceeding. Arguments flared, tempers frayed, and progress stalled. It was Dr. Lien who bridged the gap. "We're looking at this the wrong way," she said, her voice cutting through the chaos. "The trial isn't just about solving the puzzle, it's about how we solve it. We need to combine our strengths, not let them divide us." Her words galvanized the team. The humans tempered their urgency with the Zenith's deliberation, while the Zenith embraced the humans' willingness to take calculated risks. Together, they worked in harmony, their efforts complementing each other. Piece by piece, the puzzle came together, the device humming with increasing power. As the final connection was made, the sphere of light expanded, enveloping the chamber in a warm, golden glow. The voice spoke once more. "You have passed the trial of unity. One remains." The third and final trial brought them to the heart of the construct, a vast, open void where the guardians awaited. Their forms, now more distinct, radiated a sense of calm and purpose. The voice echoed across the space. The third trial is of responsibility. The knowledge we guard is limitless, but its use carries great consequence. To receive it, you must prove not only your ability to wield it, but your wisdom in choosing when not to. The delegation stood in silence, the weight of the trial settling upon them. The Guardians presented them with scenarios, simulated crises that tested their judgment. A planet on the brink of ecological collapse, a rogue faction threatening interstellar war, a device capable of reshaping entire worlds. Each scenario forced them to make difficult choices, balancing the potential benefits of intervention against the risks of unintended consequences. The humans, shaped by their history of bold action, often leaned toward intervention. The Zenith, with their long-standing ethos of caution, argued for restraint. Through intense debate, they found a middle path, learning to balance ambition with prudence. In the end, the Guardians delivered their verdict. You have shown strength, understanding, and unity. You have proven yourselves worthy of the knowledge we safeguard. But remember, knowledge is a tool, not an end. Its value lies not in its possession, but in its use. The crystalline structure pulsed one final time, releasing a cascade of light and information. The delegation stood in awe as the construct's secrets unfolded before them, a trove of knowledge that would shape the galaxy for millennia to come. As they departed the construct, humanity and the Zenith Accord returned to the stars, forever changed. They had faced the trials not as separate species, but as a united force, proving that even the vastness of the galaxy could not divide them. And as the construct's light faded into the void, the voice lingered, a final echo. The trials are over, but the journey is just beginning. The journey back to Zenith Accord space was subdued. Though victorious, the delegation bore the weight of what they had uncovered within the construct. The knowledge gifted to them was profound, yet incomprehensibly vast. The data alone would take decades to parse, even with the combined intellects of Zenith scholars and humanity's computational advances. And still, it was clear that the true challenge lay ahead, not in possessing the knowledge, but in deciding how to use it. As the fleet exited the uncharted expanse, a question began to dominate their discussions. Should this knowledge be shared with the rest of the galaxy? The construct's guardians had been clear about the consequences of reckless use, and already, the delegation could foresee the chaos its revelations might unleash. Advanced weaponry, planetary engineering, cures for once incurable diseases, these gifts could uplift civilizations, or they could be twisted into tools of unimaginable destruction. The Zenith Accord Council convened immediately upon the fleet's return. Representatives from every Accord species gathered in the Grand Conclave, their luminous chamber filled with the murmur of deliberation. Draktal and the other delegation leaders presented their findings, omitting nothing. When they revealed the magnitude of the knowledge entrusted to them, the chamber fell into stunned silence. "This is a turning point," Draktal said, his voice steady but solemn. "The galaxy will never be the same if we choose to act on what we have learned. But the responsibility lies with us to ensure that change does not spiral into catastrophe." Among the Zenith factions, opinions diverged sharply. Some argued for secrecy, insisting that the knowledge be locked away until the Accord could fully understand it and implement it responsibly. Others called for immediate dissemination, believing that withholding such transformative advancements would be a betrayal of the principles of unity and cooperation. And then there were those who feared that even possessing the knowledge made the Accord a target, that the secrets of the construct could fracture alliances and ignite wars. Humanity's representatives, seated as new but equal members of the Accord, listened intently before offering their perspective. Ambassador Ana Ruiz spoke with the measured intensity that had come to define her role in interspecies diplomacy. "We understand the fear of what this knowledge could do," she said. "Our history is rife with examples of power wielded irresponsibly. But it's also filled with stories of resilience, of innovation that saved us from the brink. We can't let fear paralyze us. If we hoard this knowledge, we risk repeating the mistakes of the past, not just ours, but those of civilizations that fell into stagnation because they feared change." Her words resonated, but they did not resolve the impasse. The debate stretched on for weeks, with no clear consensus emerging. Meanwhile, whispers of the delegation's discoveries began to spread beyond the council chambers. Rogue factions within the Accord grew restless, demanding access to the knowledge. Independent systems outside the Accord, hearing rumors of the construct, began dispatching spies and emissaries, eager to uncover its secrets. As tensions mounted, a message arrived from an unexpected source. The Ravagers, defeated and fragmented after their losses against humanity, sent an envoy to the Accord. Once considered a scourge of the galaxy, the remnants of their species had undergone a profound transformation under human guidance. The captured survivors, given the opportunity for rehabilitation instead of execution, had begun to reshape their fractured culture. Their envoy, a scarred but dignified figure named Valtha, spoke to the council with surprising eloquence. "We have seen firsthand what your alliance can achieve," Valtha said. "But we have also seen the price of power and tempered by wisdom. You spared us when we expected no mercy, and that act taught us something we had long forgotten. Strength is not the same as domination. If you wield this knowledge, let it be with purpose, not ambition." Valtha's words added a new dimension to the debate. The Ravagers, once symbols of destruction, had become living proof of the potential for redemption and change. Their transformation, guided by human intervention, served as a reminder that even the most dangerous forces could be turned toward constructive ends. In the end, the Council reached a compromise. The knowledge from the construct would not be hidden, but its dissemination would be carefully controlled. A joint task force, composed of human and Zenith researchers, philosophers, and diplomats, would oversee its implementation, ensuring that its use adhered to ethical guidelines. This task force, named the *** Consortium of Balance ***, would operate independently of any single government, accountable only to the Accord as a whole. But even as the consortium was established, shadows loomed on the horizon. Reports began to surface of rogue elements seeking to steal fragments of the construct's data. Among these were whispers of a new power rising in the fringes of the galaxy, an enigmatic faction calling itself the Obsidian Reach. Little was known about them, but their actions spoke volumes. They struck with precision, targeting outposts and research facilities, leaving no survivors and taking anything related to the construct. The Accord realized too late that their journey to the construct had not gone unnoticed. The signal they had followed had been a beacon for others as well, and the secrets it contained had drawn more than just their fleet. The Obsidian Reach, whoever they were, had knowledge of the construct's trials and seemed disturbingly prepared to exploit them. As the first attacks reached Accord space, humanity and the Zenith found themselves on the defensive once more. The Alliance, though strong, faced an adversary unlike any they had encountered, a force that understood the stakes as well as they did and had no qualms about unleashing the full potential of the construct's secrets. The trials of the construct had tested their unity and wisdom, but this new conflict would test something deeper: their resolve to protect what they had built, even at the risk of losing everything. Humanity, forged in the crucible of Earth's challenges, and the Zenith Accord, tempered by centuries of reflection and caution, would now have to stand together against a threat that could unravel the very fabric of the galaxy. And all the while, the guardians of the construct watched from the void, their luminous forms silent but watchful, waiting to see whether their gift would unite, or destroy, the civilizations that had dared to claim it.